What's poppin' people, welcome back to the Extra Zone Arcade. Sonic X Shadow Generations has been living rent-free in my head for pretty much the entire year, so now's the time to spill some theories I've had about this game. This is a new type of content, so I'd love to know what you think and even leave some of your own ideas down below. They could even be featured if we do a follow-up. For this video, we're going to be tackling 3 theories to do with the plot and gameplay going off of what we know so far. We just had a sneak peek at the Shadow prologue animation that's set to release with 3 episodes later this year, so I feel it's a good time to take that on board and come up with some wacky scenarios. Without further ado, let's get theorizing. Theory 1. The 2 stories take place at the same time, but Shadow encounters the Time Eater shortly before it attacks Sonic and friends. It would make the most sense for events to happen in this order, as Sonic fights Shadow halfway into his adventure and would give enough time for Shadow to go through his campaign. We see a new cinematic with the Time Eater in the recent trailer that does support this theory, and Shadow seemingly being stuck in his own white space, or at least a different area of the one in the main game, also seems to support this. Adding to that, Shadow is also going to be re-experiencing memories from a much earlier point in the timeline. And, as seen in the main game, we're going linearly through time from Sonic's perspective. I think this would make for a good parallel that ties nicely into the main campaign. Though, the big question is, why would Shadow fight Sonic in the main story? Simple. That's not our Shadow. Hear me out. The Shadow that Sonic fights is actually the one from SA2 pulled out of time and brought here by Eggman to fight Sonic. I'll even take this one step further. What if you actually also fight this SA2 Shadow as our current Shadow? Think about it. SA2 Shadow represents the anger and vengeance he felt, wanting to destroy humanity. It would be kinda like fighting his darker side or facing his inner demons in a way, and I think that'd be pretty dope to see. It does leave one big problem though. At the end of base Generations, everyone comes back from white space, including Shadow and Silver, who are both rival fights. I might have something that can cover that too. The Shadow that appears at the end could easily be our Shadow after his campaign, and let's say that this is also the same one that motivates Sonic in the final fight. The SA2 Shadow we fought goes back to his time just like the classic characters do. I mean, look at Metal Sonic. We never actually see him leave white space, so we can assume that he was just sent back to the point Eggman ripped him from. We can kind of assume the same for Shadow and Silver to an extent. Silver might be a little harder to explain, but we could use the same reasoning as Shadow. The Silver we fight is the one from 06, but our main timeline Silver was taken back from the future and put into white space, maybe so that he couldn't interfere with plans? And then that Silver is the one we see during the final fight and then at the end of the game. So basically, to recap this first theory, we're playing as the current Shadow as of Generations, who was taken by the Time Eater just before Sonic. Our current Silver as of Generations was taken back from the future by the Time Eater, similar to Shadow. The Shadow and Silver that we fight in the main game are taken back from SA2 and 06 respectively, explaining why they would want to fight. Theory 2. The second playable character in Shadow Generations will be the Gizoid. We know that Gizoids were created thousands of years ago, and Gerald Robotnik found and created a link with the unit we know as Emerald. In the Shadow prologue animation, we see Emerald attacking the Ark as Shadow goes to fight him, with these events obviously taking place 50 years ago. So, why do I think Emerald will be playable? Well, on the Japanese Sonic X Shadow Generations website, there's a section where it lists the playable characters. Obviously it shows classic Sonic and modern Sonic as well as Shadow. But the slot next to Shadow is obscured with some text saying coming soon. This suggests that we're going to be playing as someone other than Shadow in this story. Now, from a game development perspective, it would be much easier to include a second character with similar mechanics to the main character. We've seen this happen a lot in the Sonic series before. But who could you include that has powers shared with Shadow? Good thing that as a Gizoid, Emerald has the ability to copy moves and techniques by observing his opponents. I think it's fair to say that during the fight on the Ark, Emerald copied some of Shadow's Chaos abilities, and due to the Time Eater's manipulation, this Emerald is brought back into the fold in Shadow's campaign. You'll probably have a boss fight against him and then unlock him afterwards as a playable character. One thing that would be super awesome is that if you're playing as Emerald, you can copy moves that enemies do, such as like Gun Robot's Energy Blasts or even attacks like the Biolizard's Dark Energy Balls. It'd be a totally unique type of character that we haven't really seen in a Sonic platformer, but of course, this is just a theory, and I'm in no way expecting this to actually happen. Theory 3. Black Doom is able to manipulate time within white space. So, as we know, white space is a plane that exists beyond time and space itself, and this is where the hub world for Generations is set. Going into each of the levels takes you into a reflection of the past. Let's assume it's the same case in Shadow Generations, where, let's say you start the adventure with the Space Colony Ark level, and then are taken to white space where you can find the entrance to other levels. How does Doom's Eye take Shadow from the Ark to Radical Highway? Shouldn't the Ark exist within its own pocket of time and space separate from the other levels? If this is the case, this reveals something pretty shocking. We know Black Doom inherently has chaos abilities and is able to manipulate time and space as a result. This means in order for him to cause that level transition, he's actually messing with the structure of white space itself, instantly taking Shadow from one location to another. That's already a huge deal, seeing as how no other character we know of is capable of that, but where did Doom's Eye even come from? In the gameplay footage we have, it seems like Shadow first meets Doom at the Ark, so was likely pulled here by the Time Eater. However, he isn't limited or bound to any one particular gate, the way that some other characters are. Gates being level entrances in this case. This could end up being a massive threat for Shadow to face, but as we know, he's getting some new powers of his own. The Doom powers are likely going to be a result of Black Doom's return and Shadow's Black Arm's DNA awakening. If you didn't know, Black Doom assisted in the creation of Shadow and lent his blood to help create the ultimate life. This is how Shadow is able to use his Chaos powers without the need for an emerald. The Doom powers are probably going to be an extension of that, and I can see them doing something similar to Sonic Frontiers, where Shadow gets more corrupted through the journey. This could lead to a final fight where you play as a new Doom Shadow transformation after he fully embraces his Black Arm's DNA and neutralizes it so that he doesn't end up losing himself while using it. So, what do you think of these theories? If you had a favourite one or one you're just dying to share, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this and want to see more like it. There's going to be plenty more content on Sonic X Shadow Generation, so stay tuned for that, and also make sure to subscribe to the live channel or follow us on Twitch because we'll be playing the game there live when it drops. That's all from me for now. Remember to be good to yourself and others, and I'll catch you in the next one.